And then that happened.
It's also interesting that the women in his life are the ones that seem to be aware that something's wrong with him, but his friends are like, he's just in love.
Well, it's because he hasn't visited his friends since the beginning of the first episode. They don't go to his house or place of work. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stone Face Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back with another episode of Le Portrait de Petite Cossette. The Portrait of Little Cossette. Once again, thank you to Henry for sponsoring another episode of this, but I will warn you now, being true to form, what we said last time, this show is fucking insane. I would like to keep my eyesight intact and my brains where they are, so we didn't take any notes. There's no board. Yeah. We are going to interpret things as they come.
It is very much in the horror, but in the psychological horror aspect of things. More than anything else.
I would use a psi word, but not psychological. Psychedelic horror, maybe?
Yeah, that too.
Like, I try to interpret it as best as I can, but I don't think a rewatch would help me that much. Well, it might. It might if I tried to apply logic to it, but I don't feel like that would do it any good service. Like, knowing if the girl from the shop next door and the woman that seemed to be infatuated, you know, the one that dropped the glass at the beginning, is like, that's tantamount to murder. I don't know if that would help me any. I think it's more enjoyed the least understood it is. Well, you know, like, if you, I don't know any good examples, like, 60s movies that are clearly based on an acid trip, and you're like, well, here's what I think this is about, versus sitting down with the artist that made it and having them tell you about what the feelings that the acid trip elicited from them and what they actually mean. You know, this weird sensation here is when my recollections of my father beating me as a child. And like, oh, I thought it was just a fun acid trip.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Or early 1980s obscured, not quite blockbuster movies that clearly were made on speed and speedballs and cocaine, you know.
I like Maximum Overdrive. Anyway, yeah. So, we're coming back into this with, like, should I even ask you what you remember? Or do you want to just go in without that having been in there, so we just interpret?
I remember a very messed up situation all around. There's a lot of strong Lolita vibes here, but you don't know who's... Everybody seems to be messed up here, and that's the thing. In a way that they got what they deserve at the end kind of way. It's like, oh, you were messing with stuff they shouldn't be messing with. Sucks to be you.
I don't know that everyone's messed up. Two people are certainly messed up. The rich guy that they went and delivered the stuff to, and then the main character. I mean, maybe Cossette is messed up if she's real.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the glass could just be coated in LSD, and she's not real. It's all in the guy's head.
Yeah, and he has that little complex, and that's why he starts thinking about that. But then...
Well, remember, he also killed her in his memory / vision of through the looking glass thing. Like, he kills her, like, near the beginning, and then she tortures him as a demon near the end.
Yeah. As in, he may be a reincarnation or be embodiment of the man who killed her originally. And that act of murder turned her into a demon that then went out to continue to torture the man.
Then why does he turn into a demon?
Because both of them are fucked up, basically, you know.
I lean more towards none of this is real than the reincarnation aspect. But again, I think that's the benefit of being so fucking insane at anything. I feel like any interpretation...
The straight up could be like, this is lead coated glass or something, and they just
probably is.
Lead can also,
I used to sell lead coated glasses.
Yeah,
I mean, technically they don't.
Deadly.
Yeah, they can be, but most actual lead coated glass doesn't actually do anything. It's not like Roman pipes lead. It's just a process of the making to make them stronger. Used to work at a night outlet, sold flatware and everything.
I mean, it could literally be something that's leaking out of it, like some part of it is like lead or some other toxic material.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we're on the same page there. I just felt like getting technical for some reason for a moment. Technical, not even technical, just a broad term, generalization. But yeah, no, like I said, I feel like this show is so crazy that you could come up with something and I could come up with something completely different, and neither of us could be like, I think that's wrong. I don't think anyone can say anything is wrong. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's a sci-fi. I think they're in the holodeck. Like, well, maybe anything could be fucking true. And like, if we ended this and like Geordi woke up and Data was like, "Oh, the Sherlock Holmes thing went too far, huh?" Like, yeah, I guess it did. You know. And then Geordi walks through the arc, and in the bottom corner of the holodeck is a glass just sitting there. Like, oh no, we're still on the holodeck.
Yeah.
Be like, yeah, no, I could see it. Would make sense. Hidden Star Trek episode. Anyway, already thanked Henry once, I think. If I didn't or forgot to for the conversation, then thank you once again, Henry, for sponsoring this. But we also have a comment from Henry from the first episode. I named it Part 1 because I couldn't find a name for any of these episodes.
Yeah.
Yep, it's quite weird. I do love it, though, just to be clear. And it seems like you had a pretty decent time as well. Hopefully you won't get tired of its shtick in the other episodes. Cool how you pointed out the otherworldly effect of the CGI. I completely agree, and it goes to show there are lots of valid uses for the technology. But it takes these experimental works to push the boundaries.
Yeah. I mean, I would even grant the fact that if you want to make a true mind-bending horror, modern AI is probably one of the ways to go, because it if you push the uncanny valley aspect of it and just refine it a little bit, it's like, who am I talking to? Who's the real messenger here? That's probably the that
you mean like a oh god, it was a really good sci-fi book that somebody recommended to me once. The whole concept was what do you call it? The Chinese Room?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're trying to talk to an alien. They're talking to an alien intelligence, and one of the concepts is, I think this is just a Chinese room that they're making us waste our time. The thing doesn't know what it's saying, and it doesn't matter what it's saying.
Yeah, I think the Chinese room is also kind of a hole of mirrors, and you start seeing your own reflection, and so it's less about.
That doesn't sound like the example I'm trying to go with here. Maybe I've got the name wrong.
Yeah.
Chinese room, Chinese box, something like that. It's a language thing.
Chinese room thought experiment or argument.
Chinese room argument holds a computer executing a program cannot have a mind, understanding, or consciousness, regardless of how intelligently or human-like the program may make the computer behave. That might be it. It's not the explanation I remember, though. Although it's ironically, even if it's wrong, on point for what you were saying.
I mean, this is from the Wikipedia. The Chinese room argument holds that computer executing program cannot have a mind, understanding, or consciousness, regardless of how intelligently or human-like the program may make the computer behave. In the thought experiment, Searle imagines a person who does not understand Chinese isolated in a room with a book containing detailed instructions for manipulating Chinese symbols. When a Chinese text is passed into the room, the person follows the book's instruction to produce Chinese symbols. To fluent Chinese speakers outside the room appear to be appropriate responses. According to Searle, the person is just following syntactic rules without semantic comprehension. And neither the human nor the room as a whole understand Chinese. He contends that the computer execute programs are simply just applying syntactic rules without any real understanding or thinking. In other words, I've been told that this is the way it's supposed to be arranged, so I'm following the instructions. But I have no context, I have no understanding, because I don't need to understand or learn Chinese. I just have to follow the rules. But one could argue that an intrinsic part of understanding any language is knowing and following the rules. The thing is that in the Chinese room, you're isolated. Therefore, you will never get the right context to it. You have to insert that context by speaking to a Chinese speaker. So you go from being just sounds to understanding and providing context of those sounds and why inflections and all that are important. And then you start thinking in Chinese instead of just simply repeating Chinese.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of
remember exactly what it was. Sorry. The novel I was trying to remember was Blind Sight, and that is used in Blind Sight as the excuse of why the alien intelligence doesn't make any sense.
I mean, this is just personal experience. I don't know anybody else's experience how they learn language, but I remember a time when I could not understand English, and to me sounded like gobbledygook, and then slowly but surely started understanding. And when I started understanding, I also started thinking in English, right? And now I think in two languages because I think in Spanish and I think in English, right? Because it's the two languages I know. I can't say I master any of them, but I have knowledge of. So I guess that could have been a time where people spoke in English and I just repeated the words, like say listening to English lyrics. I think the reason why I really wanted to learn English was there was a lot of American music when I was growing up, and I just wanted to know what they were saying, other than just repeating what it sounded to me, which just sounded like, like, oh, that's what they're saying.
I don't know if I'm going to leave this in or not, but I want to read this thing about the themes of blindsight as it applies to the Chinese room thought experiment, because I think it may not add anything to it, and I don't know, just generally it's a cool little thing. Philosopher John Searle's Chinese thought room experiment is used as a metaphor to illustrate the tension between the notions of consciousness as an inferior experience of understanding, as contrasted with consciousness as the emergent result of merely functional, non-introspective components. Blindsight contributes to this debate by implying that some aspects of consciousness are empirically detectable. Specifically, the novel supposes that consciousness is necessary for both aesthetic appreciation and for effective communication. However, the possibility is raised that consciousness is, for humanity, an evolutionary dead end. That is, consciousness may have been naturally selected as a solution for the challenges of a specific place in space and time, but will become a limitation as conditions change or competing intelligences are encountered. And it goes on to a whole thing about the examples from the book. The alien calls itself Rorschach, and the idea is that the Rorschach doesn't understand what's being told to it, but is responding in the way that is expected that anything would respond. Like, let's see if you see anything wrong with this. Tell me more about your cousins. Your cousins, Rorschach sent. Our cousins lie about the family tree, Sarsha replied, with nieces and nephews and Neanderthals. We do not like annoying cousins. We'd like to know more about this tree. Sasha muted the channel and gave us a look that said, could it be any more obvious? It couldn't have parsed that. There were 3 linguistic ambiguities in there. It just ignored them. Well, it asked for clarification, Bates pointed out. It asked a follow-up question. Different thing entirely.
Yeah, to keep the conversation going.
Yeah, like talking to an AI bot.
Yeah.
I will
it doesn't
say,
care as long as the engagement continues. Yeah. Well, I mean, the AI bot doesn't care. It's only looking for continued input. It is succeeding as long as you're giving it an input. So it will look for things that would sound like questions because it has been instructed to do so. It doesn't understand that asking for the tree and not, say, for example, asking why the cousins lie, and why you don't like your cousins, right? Which would be a thing. You have to understand filial and familiar connections, which are the same thing, filial, to understand that there might be something wrong in that situation because the tendency is that you should be close to your family. That's what the association.
More so that it doesn't understand any of the context bits, but it has enough understanding of English language to be able to respond with anything else. An interrogative statement is all that's required to keep the conversation going.
Exactly.
The final bit here. The notion that these aliens could lack consciousness and possess intelligence is linked to the idea that some humans could also have diminished consciousness and remain outwardly functional. The idea is similar to the concept of philosophical zombie, as it is understood in philosophy of mind. Blindsight supposes that sociopaths might be a manifestation of this same phenomenon, and that demands of corporate environments might be environmental factors causing some part of humanity to evolve towards becoming philosophical zombies.
I mean, yeah, to a point. Although I think it's sociopaths have been described in very general terms that they lack empathy. But in reality, I think is that they have a broken sense of empathy.
I mean, I would
In other
argue that
words,
sociopaths may actually do lack empathy, but their knowledge of it is like, you learning anything at school. It's something that you've learned but not experienced. Say history or science, I guess, from the aspect that you understand how the science works, but you haven't experienced the actual scientific theorem that you're learning. That a
the
sociopath without
experimenting.
empathy is learning about empathy and then applying empathy. Like learning engineering, but not actually using it in any way. Literally learning engineering and then having applied engineering. Anyway, really good book. I would recommend it. I literally read it in 2 days.
I think it's time we dive into whatever it is, this mental soup that we call Les Portraits de Petite Cossette.
I feel like there was something else that we were talking about before I brought up Blindside. Now I can't remember what it was anyway.
Now we're talking about AI being something that could be used as a tool.
I'm not going to add this in because obviously we already did the segue, but I thought originally you were talking about like conversationally AI, I feel like.
Yeah.
And my thought went to AI image generation or actually video generation.
Or a combination about,
Oh, yeah, no, I've stared at that shit for a long time because it's like the AI doesn't understand how pieces, to the generation of AI that I was looking at the time, didn't understand how things move together. So it was like a person moving forwards, and then all of a sudden you see the back of their head as it morphed through their bodies. It's like, this is terrifying, but interesting at the same time. It's like, I'm looking at body horror, but not actual horror, yet still horrifying. So,
I mean, it's like, I think I watched a series of AI things that were pretty intriguing. They were intriguing, but I did watch them because it was like Star Wars or Star Trek, but it was like high fashion thing. Like it's like,
I thought you were gonna say the weird 1960s Star Trek where it's just all hot women, and it's like, what the fuck?
That too. I see a little bit.
I see those YouTube thumbnails pop up on me all the time.
Yeah, those things are interesting. Ironically enough, and I think this is one of the biggest things that true AI, not the kick the worker and try to substitute them on how to make their job, but actually create an actual consciousness. Because it would, if we were able to do so, and it would be something that's always a hurdle that it's a conscience, like you said, but it's not, doesn't understand us. We don't understand it because we have different planes of existence, essentially. One is electronic, the other one biological. Is that it would be it's a mirror to who we are, right? Because what the AI is doing is just collecting all this data, right? It's just matching like for like.
Well, it's like talking about the what an alien mind would be, right? We've never before experienced what the human condition would be from the outside because we only have other humans, right? Another human trying to explain from the outside the human condition is coming from a human place.
Yeah.
You can't really have a truly alien thing, but an AI looking from the outward in, the AI is, people have tried to explain what the AI algorithm is, and they're like, I don't actually know. You program the damn thing. How do you not know? Well, actually, we don't know how computer learning actually works. So we react to what it outputs, and then we try to adjust the programming there, and then we rerun the learning algorithm, and it's like, okay. But at the same time, it is essentially alien.
Yeah. And I think that actually was useful because it was like Star Wars images, and they were like this sort of like fashion video, and they were like, they said something, I am something or other, I don't know, Moshato or something like that, right? So it was like Star Wars if it was, or Star Trek if it was like high fashion, like very idea of the very superficiality of fashion and the presentation of fashion was like very uncanny valley, because it's like, yeah, this kind of feels what fashion really is in the most commercialized ways possible. Pure presentation, right? Pure, showmanship, runway. People end up wearing a version of that dress, and they had an influence, but nobody can wear that particular dress because that dress outside the runway will fall apart in pieces, or it'll be extremely expensive, right? It's not meant to be worn as a piece of clothing. It's a showcase for the trends and what people want to influence, etc. So in a way, the AI is sort of doing that. It's like, well, this is what these are the pieces of cloth that I'm putting together because you told me the parameters, pseudo 1960s sci-fi. So that's what I'm doing, right? I don't have to understand it. I'm just doing it. But to us, because humans are consciousness and context is part of pattern recognition. We're looking for those patterns, but we also look for something a little extra, the unseen, reading between the lines, and there's nothing there because the computer doesn't have it to give us. Just gives it a flat image.
I really appreciate that our minds went to two different places completely in regards to AI visual output. Like the thing I'm talking about is like if you imagined a person trapped in 4 dimensions, the morphing effect of a person visually passing through a dimension that you cannot physically understand, because there's no way to visualize. I think we had this conversation before. You cannot visualize the 4th dimension. A hypercube is the shadow of a 4th dimensional object. It is not a 4th dimensional object. So the insanity of watching a person morph into ways people can't move, but the computer doesn't understand that, and yours of describing a thing to a computer, but it lacks the human element to be able to give you fully what you actually want, and creates things that couldn't actually exist in a real world environment. Completely different mental breakdowns.
And I think that's where the horror would be at. You could actually use AI, like you use CGI, and it's like, it is uncanny. It is difficult. I think the problem then would be the temptation to just let it run, because eventually it just becomes so silly that you're like, oh, I'm horrified. And I was like, oh, this is just dumb.
Well, I don't know that it would become silly. I think it's an element of, my brain stopped working. Not acquiescence, of,
acceptance?
Acceptance could be the term. It's not the word I was looking for, but you just become
complacent.
I almost got there. Enamored was the word that came here. It's like, that's so close. It's not the word.
Mediocrity?
No, it's like enamored. It's like enamored. It's not the word enamored. Now I've gotten further away from it trying to get there.
Yeah.
Enamored is like falling in love with, and it's not enamored. Yeah. It is a word that's like almost spelled like enamored. It's very close to enamored. Not in meaning, but in like writing it out.
No, it's not imminence.
Like if you lived in a war zone and the first couple of times you saw a dead body, you'd be shocked, and then
yeah, I know the word you're talking about. When one becomes, I think complacent is the
complacent. It would be another word like the word I was looking for.
And oh my god, I literally experienced this in my lives. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like, yeah, you see one dead body, you're like, oh my god, a dead body. You see 10 dead bodies, you're like, oh shit, whatever. I gotta keep on going, right?
Yeah. It becomes
I got a deal.
Like you said, complacency. I guess it's the only word we're gonna get, because we can't get, but neither of us can get there.
They'll come probably in the middle of this. It'll come like, oh, that's the word. It was like, okay,
I mean, shouting it out in the middle of an episode of Le Portrait de Petite Cossette would make as much sense as any other part of the show. So, you watch. We said all this shit, and this is gonna be the episode that makes complete sense.
Inured is not inured.
Inured, yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah,
you become inured to it.
Yeah,
you should have saved that. Well, halfway through the episode.
I become inured to the horror.
No, you just should show inured and didn't explain it at all. It just
and you
said inured, and then like 5 seconds later, I'll be like, and that just kept going.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Sketches of Cossette.
Yeah.
I wonder if we're gonna have the same guy, or if that guy was done and now this is somebody else. Okay, this Jajan. Cossette herself.
Yeah. For a second, I thought I saw somebody like grabbing like this, like the where she was sitting at, like a woman going like this, and then it crystallized into her. I was like, oh, okay. I'm thinking too much in AI already.
Oh, same
Oh,
guy.
that's him.
Back from being tortured as a demon.
No.
I feel
Oh,
like it's a famous place.
yeah, I think that's a Scottish castle.
All right, this is the second time he's actually talked to her, or third time? Third time. First time is when he murdered her. Second time is when she tortured him. Now this.
The first time I looked at that, it's like that. It's one of those not quite a mall kind of situation.
Not just a back street. Or not a back street, it's just a street full of shops. So she's in the real world now?
Could be. The form of a cavalier.
I feel like she'd be a really annoying person.
A little child. A
Well,
little
she-
spoiled child.
I mean, more so she just seems like somebody who just says random shit. Well, he founded a
Man that
town
killed
in
her?
Florida. This is from last episode, I'm thinking. Oh no, maybe the grayness represents how the real world is different to him, and he prefers to exist in the world where Cossette is real. Because she very clearly
She jealous?
vanished the moment the other woman came in and touched him.
Yeah.
Well, no, she said I was afraid you were going to disappear because he seems to be fading from reality, by which I mean figuratively. He's sinking into his fantasy world.
She's the lady that has the vision. Yeah. Yeah.
倉橋君はともかくゆうちゃんが言うんだからけど参ったなゆうちゃんの霊感に引っかかるなんてゆうちゃんがどうしたって独り言で用ってなんだよまたきそうそうこれ早く倉橋君に見せたくて
Listing for Cossette?
Mm-hmm. Oh, he has to sell.
What, cassette dolls? Like, I don't know what this...
She
just
also has
art, just art of cassette.
Oh, so maybe that guy was, she was her, Cossette was his muse and he killed her?
You keep guessing that he killed her. Little ones, though. Very little portraits of Cossette. He got the name backwards. It's not portraits of little Cossette. It's little portraits of Cossette.
No, I think it's little Cossette.
I'm joking.
Portrait is.
Lessons, I'm joking. He didn't respond to the first time I made the joke, so I just tried to keep going with it.
He's, that's a spirit that's possessing him, right?
I
The spirit
don't
of
know.
his.
I don't think so. I just think it's like mimicry that she's inspiring him to do this. Otherwise, what is her role in this? Because that would symbolize that there's two of them possessing the object. I don't think this is Ghostbusters 2.
Why is she angry when she left, though? I guess she's also in love with him, I guess?
I don't know. I mean, they're in an infatuation, but I don't think it's a romantic infatuation. You wrote with your own hand. I don't know, maybe you're right.
I think that's
about
the thing.
The possession
like,
thing, I don't know about the murder thing. I guess maybe, because the first episode, it seems like he's murdering her. But why would you start off with Marcello murdered her? And why wouldn't you end with that? I like the clever way that they said, date of birth unknown. Because if Marcello fell in love with a little girl, if we just imply he could be little himself. At the same time, he did, if he killed a little girl, so it's not like we're trying to paint him in a good light.
Yeah.
Not the smartest tool in the shed, though. Kill the little girl, put their souls into a glass cup. You know, I want my immortality. I want my immortality in the most destructible form possible.
It could really mean that the glass was an impression of her, and it's like something that's so intimately connected to her they asked her to carry her spirits.
I'd imagine all the pictures would have been a better fit for that.
Maybe.
I can't wait to encounter the Lich who puts his phylactery in snow.
Bag now. Too close, maybe.
I mean, of the things we can be certain about, she's not real. So, legitimately nothing's hitting the ground there.
No.
All the pictures have been torn. You know, which is the real shame, because this is effectively a consignment shop. So that's just lost money. Oh yeah, we haven't seen that woman around in a while. She's spying on them from the outside of the restaurant, episode 1. Don't know Japanese enough to know what's on the wall there. Oh, got it wrong. I thought it was a woman in the first episode. That's definitely a dude.
Could be the uncle.
I don't know. I don't expect to see that guy. Remember, he's out traveling the world, buying stuff, and sending it back to the shop.
Ikai tomatic. With tomato.
Yeah, those silly barber poles. I don't know. Maybe she is real. Who the fuck knows? Well, the element we see so much of her without him around.
Yeah. Madaki.
I don't know that I'd appreciate a mosaic road.
やめてよ全身にさん。相談する相手が違うんじゃない？
Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil.
倉橋くんの顔に思想が浮かんでるって言われても。
科学者だから聞きたいんだ。どう思う？先生。
どうって。確かにこのところ少し痩せて顔色悪いなとは思うけど。
Well, I know. I'm just a doctor.
Yeah, and also he
already had brain damage, remember?
It could always
or
be that.
pressure on the brain or something. Can't remember what they said the first episode. I don't know that we should go into this doctor.
Now those cards though.
Looks like more mosaic to me.
No.
Again, though. Oh, they're tarot cards. Again, though, I wouldn't want my doctor saying, "What am I supposed to know everything? Like, you're supposed to know more than me."
さあ、お相手までは。でも毎日見てて、お二人にそんな素振りはないですよ。じゃあ誰？つうか、倉橋くんどこ行っちゃったのよ。
She's also in a book.
モデルが相思相愛って感じだよな。
やめましょう。そんなものを見るのは。
コゼット。
逃げられないわ、エイリは。だって血の契約をしたんですもの。エイリは私のもの。
逃げる気なんか。ただ知りたいだけだよ。
何を？
君は本当は書かれるのを嫌がってなんかいない。むしろ喜んで。
Yeah, that's why she ripped up all the paintings and then jumped off the building. I guess the symbology of the whole demon thing at the end of the first episode. Yeah, please, let's keep pissing off the ghost. See, I wouldn't want to know that without a "for how long" added in.
Or for why. She says the things were sent to kill him? So he has to
I think the
endure
idea
pain?
is for her to be around or something like that.
Oh. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, it's just that the line of "you have to bear the pain" without a time conceit to it is for the rest of my life. If he loves her, then I guess it's a willing price, right? But
I mean, the thing is that she's a child, right?
Yeah, this is already creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more than that, lessons. She's a murdered child.
Yeah.
Technically, she seems to live wherever you are. Most children love Candyland.
Oh, she's like a demon now, so I guess that's not a child anymore.
So you're a ghost in your own images of your past? So is the dog a ghost too? More than that, what was the dog going after if you were a ghost? What was that Nicole Kidman one where they're all dead in the house?
Yeah, I think I know.
The Others? Was that The Others?
I think it was a murder.
No, they're ghosts in the house, and they're all constantly waiting for the dad to come back, and the dad also died in the war, so he can never reach the house. Have you not wondered why you fucking killed her, even though you loved her? Like, conceivably, in your own mind, you killed her before any of this conversation shit started happening.
What? Yeah. In the 18th century, yeah, that would be a thing. That still would be a thing. An older man have a young girl as a.
I mean, to be fair, most people wouldn't understand that because most people don't have consciousness after they've been killed.
True.
I mean, to be fair, if I knew that, I wouldn't be a vengeful demon. So wait, you were alive in this aspect of your memory. So why did the dog just pass right through you? Because she's implying, oh, right about now, he should be killing me back in that house up there. So the dog running towards her would have happened when she was still alive. And then that happened.
It's also interesting that the women in his life are the ones that seem to be aware that something's wrong with him, but his friends are like, he's just in love.
Well, it's because he hasn't visited his friends since the beginning of the first episode. They don't go to his house or place of work. I was hoping she was going to say, oh, it's that smell, and somebody walks in and he's just laying on the ground dead. It's the smell of his dead body. Well, back to the demon thing.
Yeah.
Your sins of being a different guy that really reminds me a lot of the other guy. Stop showing me this. I don't need this.
She wants to be freed of her curse. And it's using him to do that.
Well, I mean, mostly purifying the objects to kill him.
Yeah.
She'll be freed by killing him. Well, you've got to survive. Thank God her soul is possessed in such destroyable objects.
Well, it could be just a brain tumor.
In Seattle.
Yeah. It could be that he just has a brain tumor. He's just imagining all the whole thing.
That's what I said in episode 1.
Yeah.
But I would say
Acknowledging that
this
you said that,
episode is
yes.
much more coherent, though, of a storyline. Like, I
Yeah.
understand, sort of. Don't come in, I'm masturbating. Was I right? Dead body? No, was not right.
何やってるのそんなとこで。
わからないんだ。俺にも自分が何やってんのか。
All the fucking chains. Would not be surprised Hellraiser appears.
Yeah.
Or Pinhead, rather. Oh, self-mutilation.
それは
言えるはずないよ。言ったって誰も信じちゃくれない。
Fair enough. No one would.
何ですか、全身さん。僕に見せたいものって。あれさ。
Ah, this thing no one's ever noticed before.
まさかあれは。
Yes, it's that clock. I bought it and put it here in the middle of the sand meditation area.
やっぱり商店街に集まる邪霊は彼を狙ってたのか。
So I'm assuming that's just another object that her soul was in.
Yeah.
But for a moment, I thought we were about to get a Dragon Ball Z fight between the psychic and him.
パラ漁師だけどこいつを入り出して悪因名を立つにはこうするしかなかったんだ。燃費観音力ハロー不能を持つ。観音力ハロー不能を持つ。燃費観音力。
I mean, these are things that Cossette herself was looking at earlier and grinning at.
Yeah.
Sort of a Dragon Ball Z fight. 'Cause, I mean, it implies that the seer actually had power.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's on the level of the fake psychics in Mob Psycho 100 when they encounter an actual spirit.
I guess it's also he's stuck in the cycle of reincarnation now. So
I don't think so. I don't think he's actually Marcello. I think he just embodies the things that remind her of Marcello. So she's latched onto him to kill him.
oh, now we got Edgar Allan Poe on us. Okay.
What, hitting the pendulum?
Yeah. And Evangelion to boot.
So she's managed to purify what? One of the antiques out of a bunch. I mean, it's like all imagined territory that this shit is happening in, with imaginary powers and imaginary creatures. Well, I mean, like, she has the power to create these massive skeletal arms and everything to fight this mummy giant in a clockwork terrain. Oh, it's him. It's always him. Which I guess makes sense because this feels like it's happening outside of that grandfather clock.
Yeah.
There's that scar he put on himself in the real world. I will say, at the very least, episode 2 makes more sense of the name than episode 1 did, where it was glass and everything. We actually got portraits in episode 2. Guess that's Marcello.
No, I think that's her.
No, the dead guy on the ground. No.
Yeah.
You're saying Marcello was her dad?
No. I think that, you know, Marcello killed his family, entire family.
No, he was holding the blade. I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be Marcello. That maybe Marcello killed them and killed himself? Oh, can't let her grow up.
Yeah.
A real pedophile.
Mm-hmm.
So you're probably right about that being the dad then. I wouldn't imagine that someone's killing somebody to keep him young is gonna kill himself right after. Although he might do that with regret. You never understand the mind of a killer.
Yeah, this is not love, dude. This was never love.
I mean, it's a crazy obsession. Who's to say what love is? The jury, I guess. Sorry, it's gonna be funny to tell to somebody. That goes all the way down to how far is the plane gonna go, all the way to the scene of the crash.
Yeah.
If I could remember a Pinhead quote, and that would have been the perfect time. God damn it, will you stop showing me this naked girl? So I guess the problem here is that he loves her enough to sacrifice himself for her. At which point does that mean anything?
I mean, his love might just be her need to control him. Right?
Well, no, I mean the element that he recognizes everything she's gone through, actually fell in love with her at some point, or is obsessed to the same degree the other guy was, just in a different way. And her thing is that I have to destroy you and purify the objects in order to set myself free of this hell that I'm in. Because I'm reliving my own death constantly. So at the end of the day, I don't think that means enough to her to not then kill him.
Yeah.
So I just assume we're going to end this with stopping with her his death. Yeah, it's exactly what I just said. No. She has to fucking kill you.
Yeah.
You can't endure death. Well, I don't know. She's proof to you otherwise. Unless this ends with him replacing her.
He's stuck in this. Well, then the recycle reincarnation. She cannot reincarnate. She's stuck dead. She had relieving her.
Or you know, she takes those she takes his place in his body. Cossette living in Ares' body. Assuming that's how you say his name. Also weird. We have multiple objects that she's stuck in one episode left, and we've only purified, I think, one. Unless the first episode was purifying the glass, and we were meant to interpret that. Because, we only got it explained this episode, and we haven't looked at the glass again yet, and it's been the clock this time. So I guess maybe only 3 objects?
Yes, he's a little girl.
Well, I mean, it could be a different thing, too. Because, I mean, the way he's making it sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger grabbed a little girl's shoulder, versus she just might be, a waif. But again, consider the end game. Her purpose is to die.
Yeah.
Your purpose is to suffer so that she can die.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to come out of this winning, no matter what. Meanwhile, at Luther Tower.
Yeah. A greater understanding of love or anything like that.
Well, I just mean more so that the woman you love is going to die as the end result of the entire end game. Again, self-mutilated. Or as a result of the visions thing coming into real life. I still think I would prefer it. I think I would still prefer it if it actually all happened in his mind. That none of this was actually real. But then again, the whole doctor is a fucking crazy person. Doesn't hand that well for me. It is Ghostbusters too. I don't know if the implication is that she's using him. And I don't mean like using him as though the episode implies that she's using him. I think, is she lying? Because that was like a, Gundam Seed Destiny, Durandal grin at the end.
Yeah.
Who would love me so much they would die for me? Is it you?
Although, that's the thing. We're assuming that this story is the way it is, but it's ultimately her telling of the story. It's her version of events.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
That she's lying.
Yeah,
unless you mean the greater narrator, which is the story itself, in which case it might not even be Aerie. It might be that woman. Clearly not the soothsayer anymore. She seems to be fucking dead.
No, she's alive.
No?
She got up and saw the broken clock. It's like she was like, oh.
No?
Yeah, she tried to access.
No, that was Aerie. Aerie was saying, what's this?
No. Aerie said something else.
No, because
she got up.
The landscape where the line, what's this, comes up is that weird ocean that looks like with the Fortress of Solitude in the background, which is the dreamscape that Aerie is in when he's talking to Cossette. So that can't be the soothsayer.
No. The soothsayer got up and saw the where the clock was, and it was destroyed. It was collapsed. It was like, okay, what is this? She got hurled back, but she didn't die from the impact.
I don't remember that, but at the same time, who cares? Who cares in the aspect of what does that add to the greater narrative? And I'm not questioning you. Like, the show is so eclectic at points that I don't think I need to hold on to that information.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I don't think the soothsayer can add into anything anymore. She's already been defeated. In her odd shonen fight in the middle of this. At least now it has a cohesive narrative, even though it might not be true. Even though I think maybe now we're still just adding the it might not be true aspect. The fact that the doctor once again was like, what am I supposed to know everything? Am I as omnipotent as your sixth sense? And it's like, you're a doctor? Just give us information? That'd be helpful. Cossette House. Oh, Aniplex. I don't think I picked that up last time. Aniplex.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like I said, the element that we now actually have a cohesive narrative makes it a little less able to be talked about, I feel like. Because now it's just, okay, point A, point B, point C, and not what the fuck is happening. When it's a what the fuck is happening, I have so many points to go to talk about because I don't know what the hell's happening. Like, the insanity of the animation.
I mean, it's 3 episodes, so I guess the way I think they're going with this is that we're going to introduce the weirdness. And the first episode is going to be weird. Either you're in it, or you're into it, or you're not. If you're willing to watch it and accept what we're giving you, then we're going to give you a cohesive narrative. But this is the real story, right?
I mean, unless it's not.
And then in the third, we might find. I think it's also giving us hope that there is a real narrative.
Well, the most uninteresting thing is that if we get into the next episode and Cossette is trying to purify another object and he's trying to suffer through it, and then we just find out what happens. Because that establishes then that the narrative of episode 2 is the real narrative, in which case it's going to have a real boring end. And by which I mean it's going to have the ending that we're thinking is going to happen. And at this point, it's been such a mind fuck that I don't want it to make sense now. I want something crazy to happen.
Yeah, I can see that. You can see that.
Like, I want Marcello to come running into the antique place, still alive, and like none of this 18th century shit actually happened. It's like, I'm the last guy who owned the glass. And they're like, what the fuck? She's making it all up. By the way, you've got brain cancer. You know, something.
Yeah.
By the way, I actually work at the doctor's office. And the doctor's not real. She's a making of imagination too. You're like, what? Because that would mean you're not real. If the doctor's not real, like, I want a whole mindfuck. I want this to make no sense in the beginning, and I want it to make no sense at the end. I will be more happy not knowing what the fuck I spent 3 hours on.
Yeah.
I guess the happiest I would be is if we finish this and the lament configuration finishes and like everything shuts down and somehow I record 8 hours of extra footage that the United Nations can't figure out when they go to, did I actually travel to an alien world? Like I said, I don't want to make sense. You see, you thought I was doing Pinhead, Hellraiser, but actually I went to Contact. Like,
yeah.
Which I guess is technically Hellraiser Bloodlines.
Yeah. They're always aliens.
Well, actually, no, they weren't. They were demons.
Another dimension, yeah.
I was going Bloodlines because that's the one that takes place on a space station that then transforms into a massive lament configuration where Pinhead says, "Amen" at the very end. I guess I would say if you like Le Portrait de Petite Cossette and you like Hellraiser, there's that Hellraiser movie where the cop is stuck in hell in a time loop. You might really appreciate that because that's a mindfuck the first time around. Not so much the second time. Once you understand what's going on. But the first time, it's like, oh, wow, that was pretty good. Too good for a Hellraiser movie. Even though it was clearly a script someone bought and it had the rights to Hellraiser at the same time. They're like, I can put this peanut butter not in Lesson's mouth because he hates fucking peanut butter.
Don't put anything. In fact, I'm stopping myself before I
get a voice clip. Don't worry. Everything I've said I was going to clip as a joke. I have not done. I've sat there for half a second like, I'm actually removing this because it doesn't make any sense. It's removed from the edit. But I could just delete everything on both sides, save it real quick, and then bring it back. Nah. Not funny. It's funny when I say, I'm going to make a clip of this. You're like, ha, that's ridiculous. And it's like, yeah, it's funny in a moment.
Yeah, that was Le Petit Portrait of Cossette.
See?
In my butchered
Even you're saying it wrong. No, because you said Le Petit Portrait de Cossette.
No. It's
No, you said.
I know. I messed up. I know you're right.
I was about to say, we already did one of this before where I said you.
Yeah, no. I just realized, yes, you're right. Absolutely right. Yeah.
Well, it's the joke we were making during the episode about the title being backwards
Mhm.
It's not the portrait of the cassette. It's the little portrait of cassette.
Yeah.
Because, they're in a book. It's tinier pictures. Technically, that's what it is right now because she's torn up all the images of herself, despite to Aries' push that she actually loves being drawn.
But it reminds them of him. So
you have to say that's the wrongness because she loved being drawn. She doesn't like it anymore. Though to be fair, she says stop pushing, and he keeps pushing anyway because he loves her. But not to say Marcello did. Well, I mean, he says it himself, I'm obsessed with her, just like he is, but not in the same way. Well, to be fair, he hasn't tried to kill her again. Well, the element is that he tried to kill her, but the idea is that that's just what he did. So was it him then just reliving it, or was it him doing it? Like, I don't know from that conceit. Because if that is true, then she's relived that murder with Aerie doing it. In which case, he can't come back from the I'm not like him. You did it.
Anyway. Anything else?
I'm sure there's like a million things.
Yeah. It'd be a million hours, too.
Would it? I think I'd be dead by then. Like, even if I was already sick or anything, I think I just legitimately be dead by then.
Yeah. we both would.
I'd be that guy from Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Just speed up the imagery. Like, oh, that'd be a hell of a thing. Live stream dead. Just put asleep, not dead in the live stream thing. Just, he's getting real skinny, and he hasn't woken up in 13 days.
Yeah. Are those cobwebs? Jesus Christ.
Is that a spider crawling out of his mouth?
Yeah.
All right. Well, once again, I've been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?